Hello everybody, day 8 of shelter. I thought to stick with the subject of authenticity, seeing as though I've had so many mails and contact and long voice messages with people around some of their own challenges and how they are battling with really getting to grips with what being authentic is and how they show up more authentic with some people and less with others. So I'm going to really just shoot from the hip and just talk from my heart. So if I'm not touching on anything specific, just drop me another message and I will get to that. So authenticity is like I said yesterday, something very, very close to my heart. I think it's been my journey. And if I can share with you from my personal journey of the journey of really finding myself, settling who I am, learning to love myself, accept every part of me, even the parts that are not so beautiful. I've learned to know that I can be vulnerable. And despite areas that I fall and I make mistakes, that I'm human and that I can just pick it up where I'm at and keep going. So what is authenticity for me? We spoke yesterday about head, heart and hands, as in what's in our headspace determines a lot about our own journey and our own settling about what's going on for us. And then being able to engage with our emotions, understanding what's going on for us when we're feeling anxiety or uncomfortable or not welcome or accepted or any of those things that start playing out, and then of course the patterns that start to follow. So when we look at authenticity, I think a good place to start is your home, where you grew up, where you come from, what your house looked like, whether you were able to talk about stresses and strains and things that you were battling with, or did you battle through those things on your own? So it's understanding the root system of where you came from and settling that to a large degree, because I think if our roots are not settled within us, it plays havoc with the rest of our journey. So we've all got a story, and all of our stories are not so fantastic. I mean, there were parts of my journey that I wish, and I did for many years, cut them out and denied them, acted like they never ever happened. And I remember God saying to me one day, Sharon, you need to embrace your entire journey, because every single one of those areas, the ones that you feel shameful about, the ones that you wish never happened, they did. And it's built you and it's grown you and it's built your character and it's who you are today. So the more I learned to embrace my world, all of it, the good, the bad and the ugly, the more settled I became. And what that did for me was it didn't allow my past to become a hammock where I sat and I whinged and moaned and became a victim about circumstances. It actually became the springboard to my future. And I think part of what started settling me, maybe before I get to what started settling me, is how things used to show up for me. So definitely wearing masks. I call them, the chameleon type behaviors, or using even the Smarty method, Smarty box method. So let's say I was born as a pink Smarty, okay? And I wasn't comfortable with myself. I was insecure, unworthy, didn't feel that I was deserving of love and belonging. And so what happened was I became a people pleaser. And when we don't know ourselves, much of the time we step into people pleasing tendencies. And of course, controlling tendencies as well, because we'll try anything that makes us feel really comfortable and more settled and safe wherever we are. But what happens with the Smarty box scenario is that if I went to visit a blue Smarty, I became a blue Smarty. If I went to visit a yellow friend, I'd become a yellow friend and a red friend, and so on and so on. And eventually you pop out of the woodwork, life's happening around you, and you realize, oh my gosh, I actually don't know who I am. And I cannot tell you how many people come into my coaching space that say, Sharon, I've lost myself. I have no idea who I am. And we all find ourselves there at some stage or another, and I think it's a really great place to be. So wherever you might be in those few areas that I've mentioned, see it as part of your journey, as part of engaging with the next level and where it is that you want to be. What are the differences about being authentic and being unworthy of love and belonging, or insecure within myself, or yourself, are the masks that you wear. The masks are those heavy shoulda, coulda, wouldas, behaviors that I put on the way I need to be because I'm expected to be this way. And then, of course, the motives that drive that. And you'll notice that you're really just lying to yourself. Jonathan and I were known as the most amazing couple. But we used to wear masks. We used to go out and play couple. We used to look good together. We still look good together. We are good together. But a lot of the time we weren't good together. And there was a point where, we'd go out, we'd fight all the way in the car, get out, put on the masks, have a fantastic evening, put on the smiles, and then get home and carry on the fight. And part of being authentic around that was to actually be authentic with saying to people, you know what, we're not really in a good space tonight. And it's not going to be comfortable for any of us, for John and I, to be with you. So we're going to reluctantly not join you guys tonight, but we'll do that soon. And it's really just being authentic. It's about being real about where you are, rather than covering it up, hiding behind the shame, because that's really what is the 10 or the 20-ton armor that we put on to hide ourselves, to be more acceptable to the world. So I think also getting to know who you are in terms of your own value system, what you stand for, what drives you, what are you passionate about, where are your strengths, what aren't you good at, and being able to call people in and say, hey, I'm not great at this, but I know you are, would you support me in this? All sorts of things that knowing who you are starts to bring a conviction of heart, but also a confidence along with you that says, I don't have to be all things to all people. Not everybody in this world is going to like me or even love me, and that's absolutely fine. And being okay with that. And I think that's the point that you get to when you really get comfortable with being who you are. So remember, part of your growing up also has a lot of belief systems, how you're treated, what the download is, what you're told you can do, what you're told you can't do. All of those frame who you are. And, I got to a stage where I realized that I never thought for myself. I allowed others to think for me. So it was really when I started getting into a coaching space, when I was asked so many questions, and I thought, my gosh, I need to know these answers. And as I answered them and got to grips with what they were, it started to settle more and more and more of me, which meant that I was becoming more grounded within myself, within who I am. I think the greatest gift that I ever gave myself that really settled who I am was learning to love myself. And for each one of you, that is a journey in itself. What do you need to learn to love about yourself? If we did a mirror exercise now and I asked you to stand in front of the mirror, butt naked, and from your toes to your head, asking you to actually give me an indication of what your thoughts are around every part of your body. And I mean, for women, we're starting with bodies, but it's just an indication of some of the things you can do. In the past, I would probably criticize and judge a lot of what I don't enjoy about my body. However, I've learned to accept all of that, knobbly knees and all. And it settles one, because isn't it true of us that we want what we don't have? Somebody's got beautiful curly hair and we've got straight hair and it's always short or it's thin or whatever it is. We're just generally not happy with ourselves. So what am I also saying there? When we're not authentic and comfortable with ourselves, we tend to look outward. The comparisons come in. We tend to look for external feedback to actually determine our own paths. And that's really scary, because people are making decisions for you, but they don't really know you. They don't know where you come from. They don't know what life's prepared you for. They don't know what the calling is on your life. How on earth can people give you advice when they're not rather asking you important, powerful questions to unlock your own thinking along the way? So, understanding your own beliefs, whether they are lies. Remember yesterday we spoke about the headspace. A lot of your freedom is going to come from getting to grips with your own thoughts around yourself. A simple thing like walking down the path and stubbing your toe on a rock. What do you say? When I started becoming aware of what I used to say to myself, one of the things I used to say is, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. Well, I don't do that anymore because I've become aware of what my thoughts are, and I know that stubbing my toe is just stubbing my toe, and anyone could do that, and it doesn't make me stupid. However, if I say you're stupid, remember, everything inside of you starts to work with that as truth. So I kept on telling myself, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not trying hard enough, whatever that might be, whatever shame might be standing up for you today. Remember, most of our shames are not good enough, strong enough, beautiful enough, intelligent enough, whatever enough. It's always a lesser than place that you're taking on about yourself. So become aware of your thoughts and nip it in the bud right there. I'm not stupid. I might not be perfect. I might make a lot of mistakes. But that's being human, and it's absolutely fine. So you want to start clearing out your thinking and get it to a place of being really, really healthy. Working with intrinsic motivation is also really awesome in terms of what's happening inside of you. You know, where is your decision making coming from? Is it external voices or is it internal voices? Is it something that you want to do for your life, or is it something that somebody else is wanting you to do? So I'm already on 11 minutes, so I know this is a big subject and I've probably thrown a whole bunch in, and there's such a mix mash. So you let me know what you want me to talk a little bit more about. And I just want to answer one question that somebody posed earlier. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate this. I find my think, feel, do is always changing, that it's sometimes difficult to find the real me. It's like sometimes you're putting on a different cap in different situations. So Kath, with that in mind, we do. Different people and personality styles tend to play havoc with our own authenticity. So people with really strong personalities it can often do that when we're feeling less than around them. So in short, very, very quickly, I would do an exercise in what are the attributes or characteristics that bring out, of people that bring out the worst in me, okay? Typically for me, that would be people who judge, people who are rude, people who are arrogant, people who are in my face, unempathic, uncaring, unkind. All of those things would immediately in the past get my back up, and still do to a large extent. I get triggered by certain things like that. And looking then at who brings out the best in you. And you will typically find that you shift around those type of personality styles. Remember, it can also be role driven. If you have a senior, you know, and also culture. If you are sitting in a culture that is not outspoken, not happy to work with you, being authentic and showing up and being courageous and saying, I'm really not happy with the status quo, or I'm feeling uneasy about this step forward or this decision that's being made, all of those things are going to play their role. And you said, for example, when a team leader mode at work, I find my emotions need to be reined in because women are always labeled as being too emotional in business. So often when I work in business, they will say, no emotions, please. We don't need that. The truth is that it is those soft skills that we really do need. We do need to talk about emotions. Why? Because emotions drive people, and people drive performance. And it's your very people that need to be talking about how they're feeling and to engage in motivation. Because remember, motivation comes from emotions that move us to do something if we're passionate about it. So very, very important. So I tend to block emotions when making decisions. Kath, big no-no. You're letting yourself down there, and perhaps even think about the stereotyping of women are labeled as being emotional. You want to check in with yourself. How emotional are you? There are many women that sit on that spectrum of feel do, and they are highly emotional. They react emotionally, and they are not rational at all when they show up. But if a woman is passionate about something and she is standing up and saying, I feel quite strongly about this for this reason, and following through, you will get you will be heard, and you will be credible, because people will understand the rationality coming through. It's when we step into reactiveness and we lose it and we become the child in the room that we're seen as being emotional. So it's that anchoring and rational ability to be able to follow through. And remember, that's what's happening in the brain. And we will get into that this next coming week when we talk about the brain and hijack and triggering and all sorts of stuff. So, but when dealing with loved ones, I might be more emotional and reactive than thinking. So, very interesting. Once again, we tend to let our guard down the most when we're at home. We tend to let out our worst behavior when we're at home. And often when I'm even working with corporates, I'll say to them, I want you to think about what you do at home. Why? Because we manage ourselves way better when we come to work, because there's all sorts of criteria that's in place. There's discipline, action that will come through if I don't behave myself. HR will get involved, all of those wonderful things. So the truth is we do unpack our worst behavior at home. So when we start to talk about patterns, we often do the work at home, because that's where the majority of who we are really shows up. So I know that was a really quick download, but it's a long recording, and ask your questions, and I promise to be back tomorrow to maybe give a little bit more light on some of this beautiful, beautiful subject of authenticity and the freedom that comes with it. Have a good day further.